Hi everyone, welcome back to Baking with Miss Manzo. Today we are making something called dirt. Now, it's not actual dirt that we find outside, but it's something that kind of resembles it. We're going to be using gummy worms and things to make it look like edible dirt. So if you look, you're going to see a nice example of what it looks like. Okay, boys and girls, this is an example of the pudding dirt cups. So we have pudding on the bottom. The top is crushed Oreos with gummy worms. This is what we're going to be making today. I hope you enjoy. Now that you have an idea of what it is that we're going to be making today, I want to go over our ingredients and cooking supplies that we have here in front of us before we go over to the sink to wash our hands. First thing we have is a mixing bowl. So mine has a little area to pour. We don't really necessarily need that, but this can also be used for liquids to help with pouring. This is where we're going to be mixing up the ingredients to make our dirt. We have a whisk. Now, their whisks come in all different shapes and sizes. This one is a metal whisk and it's rather large. We're going to be mixing our ingredients together. Okay, we have a measuring cup that we're going to be using today to measure some liquid milk. And we have our cups. Now, these little cups are what we're going to put our desserts in. So everyone that you can serve for can have an individual cup of edible dirt. The edible ingredients that we have, these are our cooking supplies. The edible ingredients that we're going to be using is Jell-O pudding mix. It calls for 2 of them. Whipped topping. We have Oreos that we're going to be using. I didn't mention before, our food processor, the mini one that we used the other day. We're going to be using this kind of to look really like the dirt. And then my favorite are gummy worms that we can position on top of the dirt to kind of make it look more like we're outside. So as we get into cooking and we see what we're going to be making, I'm going to go into different variations of the recipe and how we can kind of change it up a little bit and get creative in the future if you decide to make it on your own at home. So first, before we get started on mixing up our ingredients, we're going to head over to the sink to wash our hands. So we know it's really important to wash our hands since we're handling food. Rinse them off really nice. Soap. You want to make sure you soap up your hands and wash them up real good because we're handling food. And with me, I always love to share my food with other friends and family and other people in my life. So we're going to do this nicely so that we can handle the food and not have to worry about any germs or outside dirtiness getting on our food. And as always, we are now officially ready to bake. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix up our chocolate Jell-O pudding and our milk. So, because it has to sit for like 5 minutes to thicken up. So what we'll do is we're going to dump each envelope into our mixing bowl. Okay. And I like to use the boxes as like a little garbage in there. Okay. All right. So we have just the dry packets of Jell-O chocolate. So because it's dirt, we want to use chocolate pudding. So it's ground. So it just is in there loose like that. And then it calls for 2 cups of milk, cold milk. So I left it in the refrigerator, so I'm going to grab that now. Okay, so we have our milk, and I'm going to use my measuring cup here to measure out 2 cups of the cold milk. So this whole measuring cup is 2 cups, so it's up to this line. So remember, I leave it flat, and I get down on level, eye level, and I measure out 2 cups. So I'm going to just also add the 2 cups of milk in with our Jell-O pudding mix. Then we get our whisk, and we want to just combine it all until the pudding is fully dissolved and mixed up with the milk. Gotta scrape the sides a little bit. Okay, so while this is thickening up, we're gonna just put it off to the side. And what we're going to do now is we are going to prepare our crushed Oreos. And the way we do that is in the food processor. So it calls for about 1.5 cups. So we're estimating. It doesn't have to be exact or precise here. So I'm going to take my Oreos, and it's about 15 Oreos. So like we did the other day, we could do increments of 5, 10, 15, and put it in a separate bowl to use for once we assemble our pudding cups, our dirt pudding cups. We have our Oreos. So I'm using Oreo brand, but you can use any chocolate and vanilla cream sandwich cookies. You could do ShopRite brand. You can get them anywhere, but I just chose the actual Oreo ones. Okay, so remember, we're going to use about 15 total. Just because we're dealing with a smaller food processor, we're going to do 5 at a time. And then what we'll do is as we crush the cookies, we're going to put them in our white bowl here just to set off to the side until later when we're ready to top it on our pudding mixture. Okay, so that's one batch of them. So remember, the blade is in the middle, so I like to hold it here. I'll put the bowl here so you can't really see it, but I'm just going to dump that right inside the bowl. Okay, so we're going to repeat that same process 2 more times, 5 more, and then 5 more until we have a total of 15 crushed Oreo or chocolate and vanilla cream sandwich cookies. So we are on our last batch of our groups of 5. So we'll have a total of 15 crushed Oreos in our bowl to use for our topping on top of the pudding mixture. Okay. So this also is going to go into our bowl with the rest of the crushed Oreo cookies. So again, it's approximately 1.5 cups of crushed Oreos. So I'm just going to go drop this in the sink along with our measuring cup, and then we're going to get ready to start filling up our little cups. So before we continue with putting them all together, we have a few ingredients that we're going to add into our pudding mixture. So remember, the pudding mixture, all it consisted of was 2 packages of chocolate instant pudding and 2 cups of cold milk. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take 8 ounces of this whipped topping. Again, I have ShopRite brand. The brand doesn't matter. You want to get Cool Whip, whatever you want, that's fine. So I'm just going to kind of dump this right inside with my pudding mixture. And again, I like to use my rubber spatula for easy spreading and mixing. Okay. So you're going to mix that up and combine it. So that just kind of makes it a little bit more creamier now. Before we let it sit and it got like a mousse, like a really thick mousse, chocolate mousse. So now what we're doing is we're just combining the whipped topping with our pudding mixture. And that's going to take us some time just to make sure that it's all combined nicely. And it's also going to call for actually 1/2 cup of our crushed Oreos to put inside the mixture. So we're not just going to top it with that, but we're also going to include it in the mixture. So you're just going to keep mixing this until everything is combined up and it's nice and smooth, relatively smooth. So we're going to keep doing this until that's combined. Once it's combined, it's not going to be super, super smooth, but I'm going to see if you can get the consistency of it. So it's just like a thicker pudding, and it's not lumpy, like there's not like chunks in it, but it's a thicker consistency because of the pudding that we already combined and then our whipped topping. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to get the half cup measuring cup to measure out about half a cup of our crushed Oreos. So again, it can be approximate. It doesn't have to be exact, but I got a half a cup measuring cup anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of scoop it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, so that's about a half a cup. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in here. The rest of this we're going to use for the top of our mixture. So now we're going to go back and we're going to combine the pudding and whipped cream topping, the whipped topping, along with our half a cup of Oreos. So we're crushed Oreos. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to get ready to assemble our dirt pudding cups. We're all mixed up. We have our pudding mixture, which was the envelopes of chocolate pudding, instant pudding, 2 cups of cold milk, and then the 8 ounces of the whipped topping, plus a half a cup of our crushed Oreos. So this is going to be the base layer in our cup of the dirt. All right, so now what I have here is almost kind of like an assembly line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the order in which it goes in the cup. So we have our cups off to the side. So the first part is going to be, I have chocolate on my arm. The first part is going to be some of the actual pudding mixture. Then on the top, we're going to put a good layer of the crunchies, I call them, you know, the Oreo crushed cookies. And then we get to use our little, oh my goodness, gummy worms. The gummy worms I bought are sour. They've got a little sourness to them, but you can do the plain, just gummy worms, whatever you want. You could do, they have gummy crawlers, kind of like insects. Whatever variation you want to do is fine. The other thing I've done before, and I'll show you as we assemble it, is I've kind of made it into like a little flower pot, like a little flower coming out of the dirt. So again, it's entirely up to you guys, whatever way you want to do it, but this is just a quick, easy dessert that I like to do if I'm hosting a party, especially in the summer because the pudding gives it like a light kind of dessert taste. It's not a heavy, oh my goodness, and it's hot outside. This is cool since it's pudding and it's going to be refrigerated. So now what I also like to do though, because it makes about 10 cups, depending on how high you fill them, I like to get a baking sheet just to, as I prepare the cups, I place them on here so that it's in the fridge. I just pick it all up at once and put it in there. Okay, now depending on how many cups you make will determine the size of your baking sheet. I chose a small one because I could probably get 3 by maybe 4, so that's 12. So that should be big enough. If not, I may put some individually in the refrigerator. So before I start this, I have to cut open our gummy worms. So these, I have to make sure no one's home when I'm making this because they'll dip into the bag and eat them. So this will be the last thing that we do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our cup. I just got a regular silver spoon to kind of put our mixture into the cup. So again, depending on what, and I just got these plastic cups at the dollar store. Okay, you can do whichever size, shape, however you want to do it. They have different colors. If you want to do a colorful one for the summer, it's up to you. So again, it depends how much you want to put in here. I'm not going to go all the way up. I think that's sufficient. That's a good amount of dessert. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another little spoon to do our Oreo crunchies on the top. Okay, so I'm going to move this so you can see how much I scoop. And you can just sprinkle a layer on the top. See, it looks a little bit like dirt. This is edible dirt, though. You wouldn't see me playing with real dirt outside. No way. Okay, so we have this. So now we get to get our gummy worms. So again, you can just kind of throw it on top. You can kind of maybe push it down a little bit so they're kind of coming out of the dirt a little bit. I put about maybe 2 or 3 in one dessert. Okay, so if you look, they look like just little creepy crawlers in our dirt cup. So that's that. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to continue with that assembly line, get my cup, pudding mixture, Oreo crumbs, and then the gummy worms. And we're going to fill up our baking sheet to put in the refrigerator to keep refrigerated until we're ready to serve. We have enough to make maybe a little mini one. This is going to be the one that I get to sample now to make sure it's okay, you know, for the other people to try. So this is actually a nice dessert because they're individually portioned, right? So it's made for 1 cup per person. This you could also make into a cake if you want. You could get one of those 13 by 9 pans and you can do the same exact thing, except instead of putting them into different cups, you're just putting it into the pan and then using the same process with the dirt, the Oreo crumbs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sprinkle my crumbs inside. And we have our mixture. Then we're going to decorate it with our gummy worms. Okay, so this is going to go, like I said, into the refrigerator. You can eat it right now. It's fine because that cold milk makes it cold as soon as you mix it. But if you choose to refrigerate it and wait until tomorrow or the next day or just in a couple hours from now, that's entirely up to you also. But again, you can do it, like I said, you could do vanilla pudding. I mean, the whole purpose of doing the chocolate is so that it really looks like dirt. And I told you before that what I would do is because we had our pudding with the crunchies on top, I would take either, you know, a fake flour and then kind of just put it in there as like just decoration. Obviously, you can't eat that, but with this, the gummy worms, you can eat. So this is, like I said, just a nice little snack that you can have, a little dessert, different parties in the summer. I know my dad, huge chocolate fan, so this is actually going to go right to him. He's going to enjoy one of these tonight. I can guarantee you that, but I want to see what this is all about. So let's see. The Oreos are my favorite. That, and obviously the gummy worms. So that's it. This was a quick recipe, something that doesn't require too much time. It can be an immediate serving. You can throw it in the fridge, give it out as you see people, however you want to do it. But again, nice, quick, easy, cool dessert for the summer. There's a book that I'm going to share with you. Whenever I think of outdoors and dirt, I think of one of my favorite childhood books, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. So you can listen to a little read aloud that you'll see from YouTube after this. And then as always, don't forget to be a food critic. Let me know what you think of the presentation and what you think it might taste like. I hope you all enjoyed the show and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye. Boys and girls, we're going to listen to the book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. I felt that this book kind of relates to our recipe that we just made. Enjoy.
The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and pop! Out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through 1 apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. That night, he had a stomachache. The next day was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through 1 nice green leaf, and after that, he felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out, and he was a beautiful butterfly. I thought the caterpillar would never be full. Eating the right things helped him grow into a beautiful butterfly, and the wrong things gave him a stomachache. You too can grow up big and strong if you eat right. Come back to read more stories together anytime you'd like, or find more books to read yourself at readbrightly.com. Bye!
I wanted to show you other variations of what our dirt pudding cups could look like if you chose different decor or a different container to store it in. Check it out.
Don't let the name fool you. This recipe for dirt cake is from All Recipes member Tammy Hooper, who notes, "This is a great conversation piece at parties. Adults love it as much as the children do." For this cake, you'll need 32 ounces of chocolate sandwich cookies with cream filling. You'll also need half a cup of softened butter, 1 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese, and 12 ounces of thawed whipped topping. So be sure to take these out of the refrigerator and freezer an hour or so ahead. Begin by chopping the cookies very finely. It's easiest to use a food processor, but you can also put them in a resealable bag and use a mallet. Then, into a medium bowl, add half a cup of softened butter, the 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese, and half a cup of confectioner's sugar. Mix these together well. Then, into a large bowl, add 3½ cups of milk. Two 3½ ounce packages of instant vanilla pudding mix. And 12 ounces of thawed frozen whipped topping. Mix these together. Add the butter and cream cheese mixture to the pudding mixture. And fold them together. You can build the cake in individual bowls, But to really make an impression, use small or medium-sized flower pots that are brand new and thoroughly scrubbed. We'll even finish them off with gummy worms and a flower for the full effect. Put a small piece of aluminum foil over the hole in the bottom of the pot and alternate the layers, beginning with the cookie crumbs, then the cream mixture, repeating the layers until the pot is full. No need to be really neat. Remember, this is dirt cake. Chill the flower pots until you're ready to serve them. These dirt cake flower pots are sure to be a big hit. Before serving the dessert, garnish each pot with either a small trowel or an artificial flower that you can buy at a craft store, and top them with gummy worms. Happy gardening!
Okay, boys and girls, what we're going to do here is this is going to be the final thing that we'll do at the end of every recipe that we create. This is something that kind of rates our recipe. It'll tell you what you thought of what it looks like, how it tastes, what it smells like, texture. You get to be the food critic. Now, what a food critic does is a food critic rates all those different areas of a recipe. You guys are going to be able to be the food critic based on my recipe. Now, if you don't make it on your own, you can imagine what you think it might taste like and smell like and the texture of it. We can just focus on the visual representation then, what it looks like. And then what you can do is on a plate, not a real plate, you can draw a circle to represent your plate. You can draw your recipe. And then there's going to be some questions that I want you to take a look at. 1, would you make the recipe again? 2, if you could change something, what would you change? So these are the things that I want us to focus on at the end of every baking video. So I want you to take a few minutes and you can copy this down on a piece of paper or do it on a Google slide, anywhere that you want. You get to rate the recipe. Working on this for rate the recipe with the different stars. If you notice, all the stars have different faces on them to indicate if you're not happy with it, all the way to very happy with it. So make sure that you circle which one best fits the different category. Great job today. I hope you enjoyed. See you on the next video.